Hey there. Ready to unlock the secrets of turning your kitchen scraps into garden gold?
Yeah.
I used to think composting was, like, just for, you know,
Hardcore gardeners.
hardcore gardeners. Yeah, but honestly,
Mm-hmm.
the more I learn about it,
Yeah,
the more I'm realizing it's a superpower we could all tap into.
it really is.
Yeah,
And the beauty is you
yeah,
don't need a fancy setup or a degree in soil science to make it happen.
that's what I'm hoping to hear.
Yeah.
I've read that food waste in landfills
Yeah.
creates a crazy amount of methane gas.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a major contributor to climate change.
Yeah.
By composting, are we actually making a dent in that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Every apple core,
Yeah.
every eggshell you compost
Right.
is one less piece of organic matter
Yeah.
decomposing in a landfill
Right.
and releasing harmful greenhouse gases.
So,
You're essentially closing the loop,
wow.
transforming what would be waste into a valuable resource.
Okay. I'm sold on the environmental benefits,
Good.
but what about the practical side?
Sure.
Is it really worth the effort when I can just buy bags of fertilizer?
Oh, it goes way beyond just replacing store-bought fertilizer.
Yeah.
Think of it this way.
Right.
Compost isn't just food for your plants.
Yeah.
It's medicine for your soil.
Hmm.
It introduces beneficial microorganisms,
Right.
improves soil structure,
Yeah.
and helps your plants resist disease.
That's
It's like building a thriving ecosystem right in your backyard.
I'm intrigued. So walk me through the basics.
Okay.
What exactly goes into a compost pile
Yeah.
and what makes it all tick?
At its heart,
Yeah.
composting is a beautiful dance between four key elements.
Okay.
Your greens,
Yeah.
your browns,
Mm-hmm.
water,
Yeah.
and air.
Okay.
Think of them as the four pillars of a healthy compost ecosystem.
Okay. I'm picturing a tiny compost kingdom
Yeah.
with these four pillars holding it up.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, tell me more about each of these elements and their roles.
Okay, so
Yeah.
your greens are the nitrogen-rich powerhouses.
Okay.
Things like vegetable scraps,
Yeah.
grass clippings,
Uh-huh.
coffee grounds.
Right.
They're the energetic ones,
Okay.
providing fuel for the decomposition process.
Makes sense. So those provide the energy.
Exactly.
What about the browns?
Browns are your carbon kings,
Okay.
like dried leaves,
Yeah.
shredded paper,
Uh-huh.
and cardboard.
Right.
They provide structure,
Okay.
balance out the nitrogen,
Yeah.
and slow down the decomposition process,
Mhm.
preventing things from getting too hot and stinky.
So it's all about finding the right balance
It is.
between the energetic greens
Exactly.
and the steady browns.
Exactly. Think of it as creating a harmonious compost symphony.
Well,
You need both the high notes and the low notes to create a beautiful sound.
okay, love the analogy.
Thanks.
So we've got our energy sources and our structure providers.
Yeah.
Now, what about the water and air?
Okay.
How do they fit into the mix?
Well, water,
Yeah.
of course, is essential for life.
Right.
Even in the compost world.
Yeah.
It helps break down organic matter
Okay.
and keeps those beneficial microorganisms happy.
So are we talking a swampy situation here?
Ah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
You're right to be cautious about too much moisture.
Okay.
A soggy compost pile can become anaerobic
Right.
and create some unpleasant smells.
Oh.
Think of it like Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Okay.
You want the moisture to be just right,
Right.
not too wet,
Yeah.
not too dry.
Okay. I'm envisioning a nice damp compost pile,
Yeah.
but definitely not dripping wet.
Exactly.
And how do we make sure those beneficial microorganisms get the air they need?
That's where the magic of turning the compost pile comes in.
Okay.
By turning or mixing the pile,
Right.
you're introducing oxygen, which
Yeah.
is like giving those hardworking microbes a breath of fresh air.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we're essentially playing compost DJ.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping the party mixed up and oxygenated.
Yeah.
Now I'm itching to know what the best green and brown materials are.
Sure.
What are the real MVPs of the compost world?
Well,
And-
pretty much any fruit or vegetable scrap
Yeah.
is a composting superstar.
Okay.
Those banana peels you usually toss,
Yeah.
compost gold.
So I can finally put my banana peel guilt to rest.
Yes, you can.
What about things like eggshells or coffee grounds?
Right.
Do those break down easily?
Eggshells are fantastic.
Okay.
They add valuable calcium to your compost,
Right.
but they do take a bit longer to break down.
Okay.
You can crush them up a bit to speed up the process.
Right.
And coffee grounds?
Yeah.
Oh, those are compost royalty.
Oh,
They add nitrogen
yeah.
and create a happy environment for those beneficial bacteria.
This is amazing.
It is.
My morning coffee habit is officially eco-friendly.
That's right.
What about on the brown side? Are all types of paper and cardboard okay to compost?
Most are,
Okay.
but there are a few exceptions.
Okay.
You want to stick with plain,
Got
uncoated cardboard and paper.
Got it.
Avoid anything glossy or waxy,
Yeah.
like magazine pages or milk cartons.
Right.
Those contain materials that won't break down properly.
Okay, so plain cardboard and paper, good.
Yes,
Glossy magazines, bad.
exactly.
What about yard waste?
Sure.
Are there any brown materials from the yard that I should be careful about adding?
You can generally add things like
Okay.
dried leaves,
Yeah.
twigs,
Uh-huh.
and straw without any issues.
Okay.
Just be mindful of adding too many thick branches or woody materials,
Okay.
as those can take a long time to decompose.
I'm getting a clearer picture of what goes into a healthy compost pile,
Good.
but I have to admit,
Yeah.
I'm also curious about the things we should avoid putting in there.
Yeah, that's important.
Are there any composting no-nos that we should be aware of?
There are a few things.
Okay.
The big ones you want to stay away from are meat and dairy products,
Okay.
things like that,
Yeah.
because those can attract pests
Right.
and also create some pretty unpleasant odors.
So those are like the supervillains of the compost world.
They are, yeah. You
Man.
also want to avoid composting pet waste
Right.
and anything that's been treated with pesticides or herbicides.
Okay, so we're keeping it plant-based.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Stick to fruits,
Yeah.
veggies,
Right.
yard waste.
Okay.
That got it.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
I had no idea there were so many nuances to composting.
It's a pretty amazing process.
So we've got our list of composting superstars and our composting villains.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how about location?
Okay.
Does my compost pile need to be in a special spot?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
There are a few different approaches to
All right.
composting, each with its pros and cons.
Okay.
The classic method is simply creating a pile
Yeah.
directly on the ground.
So no fancy equipment required.
Nope.
Just a designated spot in the backyard.
Exactly. Ground level composting is great
Okay.
because it allows for natural aeration
Right.
and attracts earthworms, which are nature's composting champions.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Worms are good for composting. I thought they were just, well, worms.
Oh, there's so much more than that.
Right?
Worms are like tiny composting machines munching through organic matter,
Wow.
aerating the pile,
Yeah.
and leaving behind their nutrient-rich castings.
Right.
It's pure garden gold.
Wow. I never knew worms were so beneficial.
They're amazing.
So if ground level composting is so great,
Yeah.
why would someone choose an enclosed system?
Well-enclosed systems like bins or tumblers
Yeah.
can be helpful if you have limited space,
Right.
want to contain odors more effectively, or live in an area with a lot of pests.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I'm in an apartment with a balcony,
Uh-huh.
an enclosed bin might be a better choice.
Exactly. It allows you to compost even in a smaller space.
Yeah.
And some people find tumblers,
Yeah.
which are rotating compost bins,
Right.
to be easier to turn and manage.
Lots of options. Okay, so let's say I've chosen my composting method.
Okay.
Now, how do I actually build a thriving compost pile?
It's like building a delicious lasagna, but for your garden.
I love these food analogies.
Me too. You want layers
Okay.
of different ingredients
Right.
working together to create a symphony of decomposition.
Okay, walk me through the steps.
Okay, so
Yeah.
start with a layer of brown materials on the bottom,
Yeah.
like twigs or shredded cardboard.
Okay.
This helps with drainage and airflow.
So brown's first for a solid foundation.
Yeah, think of it like the crust of your lasagna.
And then what?
Then you start layering in your greens and browns,
Okay.
aiming for that 50-50 ratio we discussed.
Uh-huh.
Sprinkle in a little water as you go. Yeah.
To keep things moist but not soggy.
Right.
Remember, like a wrung out sponge.
All right, got it.
Dead.
Greens and browns layer by layer.
Yeah.
Moist, but not drenched.
Exactly.
Now, how big should this compost pile be?
That's a good question.
Do I need a giant mound taking over my backyard?
Not necessarily. A pile that's about 3 feet wide
Okay.
and 3 feet tall
Right.
is a good starting point.
Okay.
You can always adjust the size as you get more comfortable with the process.
That seems manageable,
Yeah.
but I'm curious.
Yeah.
How long does it take for all this stuff to break down and transform into that beautiful finished compost?
Right.
Is it a quick process?
It's more like a slow and steady transformation.
Okay.
The time it takes for your compost to mature
Yeah.
depends on several factors,
Okay.
like the size of your pile,
Mm-hmm.
the materials you're using,
Yeah.
and the temperature.
Yeah.
Generally, you can expect it to take anywhere from a few months to a year.
It can take a while.
So patience is key. But are there any ways to speed up the process?
There are.
Okay.
Chopping up larger materials into smaller pieces can help them decompose more quickly.
Okay.
And of course, turning the pile regularly is essential to
Right.
keep things aerated and moving along.
Turning the compost DJ's best friend.
That's right.
Now, once my compost is ready,
Uh-huh.
how do I actually know it's finished?
Okay.
What should I be looking for?
Finished compost is like a rich,
Okay.
dark chocolate cake for your garden.
Hmm.
It will be dark brown and crumbly
Okay.
with a pleasant, earthy aroma.
Right.
You shouldn't be able to recognize any of the original materials.
So it's like a composting magic trick.
Yeah, it really is.
You start with kitchen scraps
Yeah,
and end up with this incredible soil amendment.
it's pretty amazing.
But speaking of magic,
Yeah.
I've heard that there are some special ingredients that can give your compost pile an extra boost.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any truth to that?
There are indeed. Okay. Some gardeners like to add things like rock dust or biochar
Right.
to their compost pile
Okay.
to introduce beneficial minerals
Mm.
and improve soil structure.
Fascinating. So it's like adding secret ingredients to our composting recipe.
That's a great way to think about it.
Now let's say my compost is ready to go.
Okay.
What's the best way to use this black gold in my garden?
You can use it as a top dressing
Okay.
for your garden beds.
Right.
Mix it into your potting soil,
Uh-huh.
or even brew it into compost tea,
Uh-huh.
which is a nutrient-rich liquid fertilizer.
Compost tea.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But I'm guessing that's a topic for another deep dive.
Absolutely. There's always more to learn in the world of composting.
I'm realizing that composting is a journey, not just a destination.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of journeys.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned earlier that composting isn't just about creating healthy soil.
Right.
It's also an act of environmental stewardship.
Okay. It is.
Can you expand on that?
It really is. You know, when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's really kind of amazing.
It really is amazing to think about how something as simple as composting can have such a ripple effect on the environment.
Yeah.
Can you paint a picture of what happens to food waste when it ends up in a landfill
Sure.
versus when it's composted?
It's a stark contrast.
Yeah.
In a landfill, organic waste gets buried under layers of trash,
Right.
creating an oxygen-deprived environment
Yeah.
where decomposition happens very slowly
Right.
and releases methane, a potent greenhouse gas.
Yeah.
But when you compost,
Yeah.
you're creating the ideal conditions for aerobic decomposition, which breaks down organic matter efficiently
Right.
and transforms it into a valuable resource for your garden.
So instead of contributing to climate change,
Mm-hmm.
we're actually helping to mitigate it.
You got it.
And I'm guessing there are other environmental benefits
There are.
beyond just reducing methane emissions.
Absolutely. Composting helps reduce our reliance on chemical fertilizers,
Right.
which can have negative impacts on soil health and water quality.
Yeah.
Plus, when you use compost to enrich your soil,
Yeah.
you're creating a healthier environment for plants to thrive,
Right.
which in turn benefits the entire ecosystem.
Wow. I'm starting to see composting as a crucial part of a more sustainable lifestyle.
It is.
It's like we're closing the loop,
Yeah.
turning what was once waste into a valuable resource that nourishes both our gardens and the planet.
Exactly. It's a beautiful cycle.
Yeah.
And it's empowering to realize that we can all play a part in it.
So to bring it all home, what's one small change our listeners can make today to start generating compostable materials?
Well,
I know we've covered a lot.
we have.
Yeah, but is there one piece of advice that stands out?
Start small. You don't need a fancy composting system or a huge backyard to make a difference.
Okay.
Even a small container in your kitchen.
Right.
To collect food scraps is a great first step.
Yeah. I love that. It's about taking that first step, no matter how small.
Yeah.
And building from there.
Exactly.
And as you gain confidence, you can always expand your composting setup and experiment with different techniques.
Right. Composting is a journey.
Yeah.
And there's always something new to learn and discover.
Right.
Don't be afraid to experiment and get your hands dirty.
Well, folks, there you have it.
Yeah.
We've demystified composting,
We have.
explored its incredible benefits,
Uh-huh.
and hopefully inspired you to start your own composting journey.
There you go.
Remember, every apple core,
Yeah.
every eggshell you compost is a step towards a healthier planet and a more sustainable way of life.
Absolutely. Happy composting, everyone.
And until next time, keep diving deep.